Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be working on very beginner chainsaw carving. We're going to be using a homeowner Poulan Predator chainsaw. Picked this up used and cheap. Went ahead, put a new carburetor in it, new bulbs, new gas lines, new filters, new spark plugs, so it would run pretty good. We're going to do a cut for cut kind of bear, walk you guys through it. I'll do a voiceover for every cut and I'll try to slow it down so you can follow at home, those of you that are learning to carve bears. Now in this video we're just going to use the chainsaw to do everything. This is a piece of white birch, just something I had a bunch dropped off. I'm going to burn it this winter and I figured I'd grab a piece, take the bark off, and we'd carve it together. So if you're interested in learning how to carve a bear with your homeowner saw, be sure to stick around because we're going to start making some sawdust. Alright guys, like I said, very beginner kind of video, step by step. We're going to do a bear just standing up. As much work as we can with this saw. As you can see, this saw, it's been used. It's been worked over. It's same bar, chain that was on it when I got it. I sharpened it, which we'll be working on a chain sharpening video here in the future. Got my camera here so you guys will be able to get a first hand view of the bar and the cuts, and I'll do a voiceover. So you'll get to watch here and you'll get to watch here for a split screen. Hopefully this will be able to help you out. Now, one of the first things you guys need to keep in mind is chaps. I gotta go grab mine, but wear a pair of chaps, earmuffs, dust masks, something to protect your eyes, and a pair of gloves that do not have a rubber grip. Alright, so have safety gear, be safe, be cautious. It does take a little bit of muscle to throw the saw around and do the work, so use your head and be smart and be safe. Alright guys, getting right into it. Right here we're going to be cutting the back of the bear's head, so the saw is at an angle. As you can see, we're cutting through. I had somebody say I go through all these steps way too fast. Well, I'll try to slow them down the best that I can, but if it is too fast, you can always hit pause or rewind. Right now we're cutting in, the saw is at an angle. You have to be able to look at both screens here. We're not going super deep, half the depth of the bar at an angle. That's the front of the ear. We're at the back of the ear now, making a cut up near the top, not very deep, maybe half an inch to start. And then we're going to take the nose of the bar, cutting in 1/4 of an inch, half of an inch, and drawing down for the back in the lower part of the ear. Now we've moved to the other side and we're going to do the exact same steps, repeated, but obviously on the other side. Once those steps are done, I want the ears to look raised up off the head. So a way to do that is come through and cut to your lines using just the nose of the bar. Now this is where you can get kickback, doing all these cuts with the nose. So have full control of your saw. Make sure you have good hand and arm strength before you even attempt this sort of stuff. See, now the ears look like they're raised off the back of the head. We removed a little bit of material. I like to clip the hard corner off the ears, giving them a rounded over look. Now in this video, we're only going to complete this bear as far as we can with this chainsaw. For my members, we're going to fully complete this video right down to paint and finish using power tools, adding detail and everything. So you'll all have a step-by-step completion, or how to complete this bear to its fullest sort of video very, very soon. Now if you guys are watching, I'm just making some upcuts on those ears below them to kind of remove a little bit of material. So moving around to the front, the saw is angled. This will be the top of the head in front of the ears, and cut through to the line you already made for the front of the ear. Now, if you take your time here, you will feel the nose of the bar pop through to your line. Here we're just making a little bit of a wedge cut between the ears. This also gives them a nice raised look on the top of the head. Do a little angled cut line, turn the saw on its side and cut down to those lines. This will start to help you round the top of that head just a little. Now going in, the saw is angled some, and we're cutting down. This is where the eyes will be, and now this will be the top of the snout. So we have to cut down roughly, for a bear this small, I go to probably half the height or full height of the bar in depth, and then I cut back to that line. Now this saw starts to give me some issues. We'll get into that in a little bit here though. So the saw is at 2 angles here. We're making a wedge cut back to the face, to the cheek area, and we'll come from the side and remove it. So the saw keeps stalling. I did a video putting a new carb, new gas lines, and a whole bunch of new parts on it. I put the gas lines on wrong and did not realize it until I was shooting this video. I decided, hey, we're not all perfect. I'm gonna put the video out there anyway and show you the struggle is real. Even if you make simple little mistakes in repairing your own saw, it can cost you time and cause frustrations. But in that video, I do let you know what I did wrong so you don't do the same thing. So as you guys can see, when you make those back cut at an angle, you come through from the side and meet the lines. I like to shorten the snout so it doesn't stick out past the body when we're done, so we just bring it back with a straight cut. And we're starting the saw again. Now, a lot of people go, it's a pull-on, it's a pull-on. Again, hey, I can admit I made a mistake. I put my gas lines on wrong and don't realize it. It will start, but basically, because of my mistake, I'm starving the saw of gas. That's what's going on. So we're going to come in from the side, meet our cut line from the first cut line, bring it down, kind of angling it out a little. Coming in, the saw is at an angle, so we're kind of cutting downward for underneath the mouth, coming back to that cheek before the saw stalled. Oh, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. Don't worry, we'll do some more bear tutorials. I like carving bears, so this won't be the only one. But gotta make sure I get a tutorial out this weekend for you new carvers. And honestly, the stalling kind of helps slow the video down and is able to give me a little more description for you guys. So all the cuts are on an angle basically, and you want to think wedges and triangular kind of cuts. That's how we should be removing pieces, like a triangle or a wedge. It's basically what I keep in mind as I'm making these cuts. Now, right now we're going to define lines for like the upper neck and chest area. We're kind of going to come in like we're cutting down and in, and then we're going to cut up to that lower jawline that we already made. Don't worry, this saw is going to stall probably 5, 6, 8, 10 more times, and then we'll switch to a different saw. All right, so now we've defined the face a little bit and that lower portion below the jaw. I'm going to start thinking about the shoulders and arms. So I'm going to use the nose, cut into that line from the neck chest area, and bring the saw down and all the way down and through past the line. And then if you have to, come back to the front and meet the line more to remove that piece. Now a lot of this is just feeling it out, guys. I can give you step by step on every single little cut, which we're going to do on this and in more future very beginner videos. But a lot of it is trial and error. Your first bear probably won't come out the same, and if it does, you better stick to it because you're pretty darn good, and you got tons and tons of potential and experience already behind you, and you don't even know it. So right here, we removed that, all right? And like I said, there are very beginner carvers that knock out some wicked cool pieces, and there are some carvers that knock out some pieces that are okay. But you know what? Just keep going. We all get to different levels in carving at different periods of time. I've been carving for a while. I thought my bears would be better than they are by now, but they're not. They're just not. Got to put in more practice and try new things. I know I'm not describing every little cut, but I know you guys are watching in great detail anyway. The next bear video that I do, we will not have so much talking. Well, mindless chatter talking, I should say. Alright, so had enough of that other saw. working like crap. Moved on over to the Steel MS 170. This is basically a homeowner saw. You can pick this saw up for under 200 bucks usually. So this line right here, we're at a little bit of an angle. We're cutting in a couple inches and then straight down. We're going to do the same on the other side. This is going to define the front of the arms, because the arms are just going to come down and hang in front of the body. So we're cutting in, down. Now going for the back of the arm. We're going to cut in about quarter, half an inch, make a cut. The saw is at an angle. I'm not making straight cuts here. Coming down. All right. We're going to do the same process on the other side. All right, where do we want the back of the arm to be? Like the back of the bicep sort of area. In, come across. The saw may look like it's straight, but it's not. The top of the bar is tilted away, while the lower part of the bar is tilted in just a little. So I'm going to cut away this front, not touching where those paws are, and angling down and back. And I'm going to stop where I want the top of the feet to be, because the feet are still in the vise all the way, or the jaw horse, I mean. Now you guys can achieve clamping of the bear by screwing a board to the bottom and then screwing it down to a big log if you don't have a jaw horse. Right here, cutting this piece off, or cutting to the line that's already there from defining the arms and removing that material. So it starts to, reveal like a chest area and arms. Now you can leave all that bare fuzziness up there at the top that I'm cutting away. Could totally leave that. I just want to make them look a little more slender. But you could make them all fluffy and puffy and leave it as it is, no big deal. Sometimes I get a certain look in my eyes when I'm making bears, and it's just got to be a certain way, so I can't leave things. Or sometimes I do. It just depends on the piece. So here we're kind of rounding some edges using the nose of that bar in a scraping, sanding motion. Things we've heard in many other videos of mine, we're just scraping the bar along, not actually letting it grab and catch. Now if your arms are getting tired, that's fine. Take a break. Don't wear yourself out. Don't let yourself get super tired where the saw begins to feel very, very heavy. Just don't. Take a break. So right here, the saw is on edge. We're using the left side of the chain. Now we'll be using the right side of the chain to kind of just make some lines as if the fur is overlapping itself, hanging down in the front in the chest area. And then I'm just going to use some quick lines, do a little bit of a fur pattern on that piece under the mouth, under the snout. Using the side of the bar, we're going to just sort of round off whatever we want to round off on that snout just a little in that face. Now coming in, we're defining the inside of the paw and then the lower part. You guys can see the lines. I know we're going pretty quick, huh? We're going a little quicker than I had hoped here. The next bear, I will work on slowing it down a little bit further. All right, so the paw's on the thigh area. Same thing here. Coming in, defining our line a little more, removing material. If you notice, we're only removing a little bit of material at a time. Okay. Making an upcut to the lower portion of the paw where the nails would be. Now this is white birch. White birch, tends to rot fairly quick when the bark is left on. Lasts a little bit longer when the bark is off. We got to finish it good and things, and prep it. Hopefully it'll last a while. So here we're cutting to the line that was the back of the arms to define those arms, and remove material. Coming down to the waistline, you can see I'm kind of making a cutting in and scooping out sort of motion and rounding things over. Rounding, rounding, rounding. Scraping and rounding, basically. And as I do that, I realize like the back of the head, the neck, and the upper shoulders are too wide. And so we go through and we remove a little more material, trying to have it look more like a natural flowing shape. Things you'll be able to feel out when you're carving. So there's the line on the side, nose of the bar, cutting in, trying to cut into that line just a little bit. And you notice I'm going in and out to make these cuts. It helps me manipulate the saw and the bar, cutting in and moving it back and forth, we're able to curve the cut so it's not so straight. All right, we removed it, nice little spot. Back of the head, neck area, shoulders, a little too thick, so let's cut it away. Rounding it over until we get to the front side. All right, so a lot of it again is just practice and trial and error sort of stuff, so don't get super frustrated. And remember, if this is your first bear, save it. Save it. Don't sell it, don't burn it, don't toss it. Save it so you have a reference in a month, 2 months, 3 years, 4 years. You can see where you started and where you've come, how far you've come to carving, you know, like where you've gone. How much you've progressed. That's what I'm looking for. How much you've progressed. All right, so we move the bear forward in the jaw horse. We're removing that top section of the feet. All right. I got to go in and define where my leg's going to be and where my feet going to be. A little bit of a plunge cut, carefully kick back, hold that saw good and tight. Not going all the way down, I'm just going in straight and straight through. A little bit of an angle, nothing crazy, you guys can kind of see it there. The saw's tilted a little bit, so it's a triangle between his legs. Cutting through, okay? Use the saw a couple different times, cut through straight, little angles so you can remove the material that's left so you have a hollow space. You get this practice down and you're able to chain your bears together, run a cable, whatever you want to do, and you're able to leave them for sale at stores and they can, you know, chain or cable them up so nobody steals them. Plus people like that little space void. It gives it a little more character that you can see through his legs. Moving to the back, we're just kind of cleaning up the back side, the lower portion of that hole where there's material left over. Scraping motions with the bar. Sometimes you got to go slow though. If you do that too fast, you could always pop your chain off. So having a sharp saw and just kind of feeling it out is the way to go. Now I'm cutting down where I want the front of his feet to be. Okay, a little bit of an angle here. Going across to the other side, doing the same. Again, I'm going to work on doing another tutorial similar to this bear, but slower. Slower. I'd hoped I'd be slower here, but I guess I'm not. I'm always concerned about making videos too long because people tend to lose interest and they're gone after about 6 to 8 minutes. So who knows if people will watch this all the way through and enjoy it or not. We'll see what happens. Using that nose of the bar though to scrape over the feet there to round them over some. Defining the arm and chest area just a little bit with some lines. Removing where there is an overcut under the chin, which happens a lot. Just angle the saw up and remove it. It'll make the piece look that much better too. Trimming the ears. So like this is the time you can go through and sort of refine your piece. Look at it. Where can I make little cuts to kind of round it over to make it look nicer, to add some detail. That's what we're doing. That's what we're thinking about, right? So you go around, keep shaping that face, keep shaping those paws. Right now I like to make a line down the side. This will be on both sides. So this separates the bear from his little pedestal. Not cutting all the way through. I don't physically want him separated, but I want him to look separated as if it's two pieces, like he's resting on that. So we make that line and then we angle the saw and cut down. So we're angling in toward the feet just a little. Nothing crazy, just a little. So it leaves like 1/4 of an inch of material for him to like stand on, you know, so it sticks out past his feet. This gives him a little more depth, a little more dimension. And it gives him a nice base to stand on. Now for the back and the butt area, we angle down and into the body a little like that. Right, so take the saw and we angle in a little and go down, cut it out. Now I continue that practice like around the sides so that the bear sort of, you know, has more of a rounded look. We're getting away from that square-bodied, very rigid-looking bear. Coming in at an angle, removing material so this separates the rear legs a little more for us. Again, angle cut. Using the nose, we'll come in sideways, remove these pieces. If you guys have questions, ask below. If you need a specific video to help with, ask below. I'll do my best. And again, members, if you are on the new tutorial membership of the channel, we will be taking this bear all the way to completion using die grinders and Saburrtooth burrs, torches and flame bits and all kinds of stuff, hand painting the eyes and putting a finish on it so you guys can have a beautiful piece to sell or keep. So right here, we're doing what I like to say, trimming the fat, just kind of cleaning up what needs to be cleaned up. So at this point, I am making a cut, until the line goes like right between the ears, almost center of the log, and I'm going all the way down and right out the bottom. Careful not to hit your jaw horse. This is because this log is very green and wet, and now hopefully we won't get a crack in the face. Hopefully the cut I just made will spread apart as the log dries, and we won't have a big cracked face bear to repair in the future. It's something I do, works sometimes with really green logs, and just helps prevent having to do a bunch of repairs in the future. Holding the saw on its side, we're removing the material on the top edge of the snout so that we can define it so it's not just this square block of a snout. So don't just base your carvings off what I'm doing. Study pictures of bears, have a general idea of angles. Obviously this guy is not super realistic, but basic angles, people will know what it is. Using the nose of that bar, we're just making some sweeping lines where the eyes would be because we're not using other power tools. Play around with this. 2 lines, it kind of has like kind eyes and eyelids, right? Without actually putting round eyes in. Play around with it. Make some cuts. See what you can create. This is your piece of art you're making, not mine. Rounding over the top of the head and the forehead just a little bit. Getting rid of that hard edge. Saw's at an angle. Kind of cutting up just a little bit for the nose. Now use the nose of the bar and round those edges to that line that you just created. All right. Let's think about the mouth. See the angle of the saw on the left, cutting up. But be careful. Ooh, there's a bee in there. Be careful, because you will get kickback as you're cutting like this. Top edge of the bar will grab and the saw will kind of pull away from you. So. Alright, there's a good shot doing the mouth. Trim it back, come over to the other side, attempt to do something very similar. As you get carving and doing this more, you'll realize one side feels always easier to do than the other. One side will give you a little more difficulties, it just means you gotta pay more attention and a little more practice. So, a little bit of furring going on here. When you fur, you do not use the straight end of the nose of the bar. We're using the side, like right now. We're using the right side of the tooth. When we do the other side of the bear, we use the left side of the tooth. So the bar is at an angle, and we're scraping and lifting, right? Scrape it down, lift, go to the top, pull it down again. I do have some furring videos. I'll try to put a link to it above this portion so you guys can kind of watch that in a little more depth and detail. If we need to create a new how to fur your bear, let me know, guys. Comment below. It's fine. Comment below. Let me know. So again, no dime tip bar. We're just doing this with a regular saw. This is for those of you just starting out. Don't have the money, don't want to spend the money, want to see what you can do with just your saw. This is what you can do. Probably even a little better with a little more practice. And we're just furring. Just furring. Now this is something you can play around with. You can pull up pictures of bears and look at how their fur or hair lays when they're standing, and then try to recreate that pattern more detailed if you'd like. If not, then this works. We're not just making these straight lines. We're trying to make that pattern so they're close together. You can't just do 4 or 5 of those and there we go, it's done. I mean, you can, but you could totally get way more detailed looks by making those fur lines nice and close. So here we're doing the scraping motion with the nose of the bar again, rounding over these feet, okay, the edges and the toes sort of area. But I think that's about it. I mean, it's
about it. Oh yeah, don't forget to put your initials in your carving. I always put it right in the bear and not the pedestal, just in case somebody cuts that pedestal off or it rots away. At least my initials are right in the art itself. Nobody can remove them without completely disfiguring the bear. So there you go, just adding some more fur down the body and down the back and sides here. Learning to fur and building the muscles in your forearms and in your grip to do this on a full bear is worth it. This will make your bears stand out and bring them up to the next level without having a detail bar or power tools. So just keep that in mind. Take the time to practice it. Don't skimp out here. Don't slack. If you have to take a break, take it, come back fresh and rested, and then go through and fur your bear. You know, maybe the next day, maybe a couple hours later, but don't skimp out on this. All right? It makes a difference. It'll make your bear look like a bear if he's covered in this fur pattern. So don't chintz out. You've already come this far. You've put this much work in. Might as well finish it to the end. And if it doesn't look that great, keep it. Keep it. Somebody else will love it, and if it's your first one, it's yours forever. Don't get rid of it. You need some kind of reference to come back to months or years down the road. So, hope you guys are enjoying the video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe if you guys haven't already. And if you want to become a member, check out that join or membership button right next to where you just hit subscribe. We're not quite done yet, so don't go anywhere.
Alright guys, so as you can tell, I switched chainsaws. I may have already said it in the voiceover, but that pull-on saw, every time I'd go in and bring the saw back to make these cuts, it would just stall. And it's taking way longer than it should. So, I mean, I gotta be honest, it's a used saw. It was older. I did just put a bunch of work in it. If you guys saw the video, we put a carb and all that on it. And it just, sometimes those things work, sometimes they don't. I will, you know, find some time, try to go through it, get it running a little bit better, but I wanted to at least finish this carving so you guys could, you know, get a step-by-step. Hopefully we can get that saw running. In the meantime, we switched over to the Steel MS-170 stock, no dime tip bar, and we carved up this little fella. He is cute, right? So we're talking like, what, 6 to 7 inch base log. All right, we got a foot, maybe 18, 20 inch tall, okay? If you don't have a jaw horse, I really do recommend it, okay? Especially if you're gonna do some hardwoods and things. I'll have links down below through Amazon. You guys can get them through. Also with a lot of the tools that I use. You guys purchase through those links, they help support the channel, and I greatly do appreciate it. Anyway, so look, check it out. Right eye's done with the saw. No other tools needed. The nose is done. You can see it's a nose. Got a mouth in there. You guys did see where the saw was like jerking right here. You got to be careful with that kind of stuff. He carved up pretty good though. Got a basic, quick fur pattern. Not a lot of detail, but enough detail where you could sell this piece, right? If you can get a bear looking like that, you guys could probably easily get 80, 100 bucks out of a bear like this when he's fully done. So, okay, you don't have any other tools. You just have the saw, and this is where you're at. This is where you would burn him with a torch, all right? You don't have any sanders, you don't have a flat sander or die grinder, you don't have any of those tools. Burn him up with a torch. It'll get rid of the fuzzies, it'll get rid of the hard edges. Make sure you've removed all the bark. I have not. See, this is below the bark. This has to get peeled off and I'll have to redo the fur. But burn all this fuzzy stuff off. Okay, if you burn him really, really good, you don't have to worry about sanding. And then if you want, you could get sandpaper and clean it up. Now, if you have power tools, you guys know you've been watching me long enough, we would go in, we'd create some eyes and a nose, and we'd clean them all up and give them a light burn and then some paint. So that's the way I normally do it. But very beginner kind of carving. Chainsaw, say you got a torch. Like I was saying, burn it all up. Put it all out. Hit it with a bristle brush and then spray paint it or leave it burnt. When you're all done, put an oil finish on it and he's ready to go. You guys can always go back and just paint the snout or paint in some eyes. Do your own little detail, that kind of stuff. But yeah, not bad for a quick little bear. Hopefully you'll be able to create one. If you do and you want to share it, you guys can find a group on Facebook called Kyle Hall Woodworker New Carvers. Go there. There's a couple questions to answer. Join. We'll be putting together a new carvers video, basically from everybody that's subbed to this channel, and you can share your work and everybody can encourage one another and see each other's progress. So if you're going to do this bear like I just did, feel free to take a picture. And in that picture, put your name right in the photo and where you're from. Not your home address, just, you know, your state or your country under your name. And we'll get it in the video. If your name's not in it though, in your state and country, I just don't have the time to add all that info, so you'll have to add it yourself. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, be sure to hit subscribe, give it a thumbs up. And big thank you to all my members that are currently members. If you want to become a member, I believe it's a join button right next to the subscribe button. I will be finishing this bear in a full tutorial for my members. It'll be a members only video. We'll use power tools, clean them up, add all the details, paint, and finish. So if that's something you're interested in, you'll have to be a member on the new tutorials tier. And I will be working actually today on getting that video together, and hopefully we'll have it all done by, I don't know, this evening or in a day or two. So thank you for watching, guys. Check out some videos popping up. Hit subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and have fun. See you later.